This is a tutorial on how to make a wheel for your 3D car. The first thing we're going to do is change from drawing and annotation to modeling. In case you don't see this little drop down, you're going to want to click this button with the line and the arrow, and then select workspace and make sure it's checked. This will make this drop down appear and let you select 3D modeling. You can close this little box if it appears, we don't need that. Next thing you're going to want to do is make sure you know how to manipulate your workspace. So use Shift middle mouse to rotate your workspace in 3D. You can use just middle mouse to drag around like before. Next thing we're going to want to do is change to the Solid tab. The Solid tab has almost all the options you need. We're not going to use all of them, but it has them in a much more available space than Home does. Now, open Cylinder, because wheels are cylinders, and make it to your specified radius. For now, we'll just go with something arbitrary. Don't copy these numbers, just do what you want and copy the actions. We'll go with a radius of 2 and a height of 2.5. Now, we're going to make another cylinder that's slightly smaller. We'll select the center point of this cylinder and make it around 1.8. This will give us a 0.2 inch thickness of the wall. Then down, we'll go a similar less than 2.5. We'll go 2.3 inches. Now we have a slightly smaller cylinder nested inside this bigger one. There's another way to do this, but this is the way I'm going to show you. Next, we're going to select Subtract. When selecting Subtract, you're going to want to select your main shape, press Enter, and then select your subtraction. If you don't select Subtraction, you can use Ctrl-Z to undo your selection and continue from there. Then press Enter, and that has been removed. Now we have this, but this still isn't wheel-like. So the next thing we're going to do is create treads for our wheel. Select one of the sides of the shape. If it's not selecting, you're going to want to change your options here. Quadrant works for this. Select this quadrant, bring it up and over. Okay, when you do square, it's going to build your shape based off of the x and y coordinates, not the z. The z will be done after. So create your tread thickness around half of it or the full way, depending on how you're going to do it. I'm going to do half of my tread size, and then bring it up to the top of this cylinder. From here, what I'm going to do is duplicate my tread so it's perfectly pushed over. You can instead just have it twice as long and shift it, but this is how I choose to do it. Next, we're going to choose Union, which is also in the Home menu, but it's also really here in big words, so you can identify it faster. Select these two, Enter to merge them. Then, using this 3D gizmo, shift it in ever so slightly. Next, we're going to go back to Home, and under the Array, select Polar Array. Select our tread as our main object, and then select the center of one of these cylinders. Then choose your tread amount. We'll go with 15. That seems good. You can close Array, and from this point on, make sure to follow closely so you don't mess up. Go under Modify and select Explode. Press on your array, and then press Enter. Now your array is in multiple parts. Be careful when using Explode. If you accidentally explode your cylinder or any object that isn't an array, it'll turn into faces. You can use Ctrl-Z to undo that if you do make that mistake. Next, we're going to use Union again and select everything. Then press Enter. Now all the treads are combined with the wheel and you have one solid object. This is important. If you don't have one solid object in 3D printing, the printer might not understand that well. But you'll export everything to Tinkercad anyways, so it might fix it. I'm not sure. I wouldn't risk it. The next thing we're going to do is create the spokes. Now, there's a few ways to do this, but my preferred method is to make another cylinder that's still slightly smaller than this one's radius. So we'll go 1.6, and the height doesn't matter too much, but make sure it's more than the thickness of the inside to the outside. So let's just go 0.5. Next, we're going to make another cylinder. This cylinder will be relatively small. It should be bigger than your axle size. So we'll go 0.5 for this. And this one, as long as it's thicker than this shape, should be fine. We'll use subtract. Select this one as our main object. Select this as a subtraction. And now we have this shape. What can we do with this shape? Well, from here, we can create our spoke. Now, the spoke will be inverted in this method. You can choose a different method, but in this method, the spoke will be inverted. So, make a cube. Its thickness doesn't matter as long as it's the same or thicker than this. Then, from here on out, you can make it however you want. I'll show you how I'll make it, but it'll be difficult to copy exactly what I do. This will be different now. Next, we'll use intersect. Select these two objects, press enter, and now we have this. Now, we can use polar array again. These will be our spokes. From here, we'll make another cylinder. Select this as our main, and subtract this. And explode this now. It's a little large, so take your cylinder again. And cut off what you don't want. we can fill in this shape. And union everything. Now the wheeled spokes. Of course, there's always other methods to do this. This one was a little unnecessarily long-winded, but it shows you uses of different tools. The next thing we'll do is have a little socket for the axle you'll have. Now, this doesn't necessarily have to be done this way, but this is the way I like to do it. You'll go under polysolid and select cone. Select the center and bring out your cone larger than your axle's diameter. You can also just do it to this point. Bring it up, not too much, but not too little. So I'll just use 1 inch for this. Then create a cylinder. Slightly larger than the radius of your axle. So let's say 0.31 and bring it up. Then select your main cone, delete this part from it, and now you have this little part. This will fit your axle in it. Make sure you use the right sizes, and when 3D printing, the hole should be ever so slightly larger than your axle, because if not, it won't melt properly. Now, if you're worried that the printer won't make this sharp edge that well, there's a simple solution to that. Simply make a cylinder, bring it up, and move it down ever so slightly. Then you can subtract again, and boom, you have a flat face, so the printer will print this better. This should be structurally stable, if anything a little bit long wheel, which will work for any basic needs. You can make the spokes thinner, thicker, you can make your treads look different, it doesn't matter. You can choose how to make it. Just make sure everything in the end stays as one object, which currently it isn't. So we'll use union again, and boom. Now, when exporting this, you want to make sure the object is selected. If the object isn't selected, it won't export. You're going to press on the A, export, export as other formats, and then change your files of type to STL, or lithography. Once you do that, you can name it whatever you want, press save, and then send that to Tinkercad. Make sure you use inches if you're using inches in AutoCAD, and centimeters if you're using centimeters in AutoCAD. It should be automatically set to inches, so make sure to change it to that. If you don't, your shape will have wrong measurements, and it will print either too small or too big. And that's how to make a wheel. I hope this tutorial helped you, and don't ask for any more help for things you can understand by watching this video.